Welcome, this will be my Stamina Sorc PvE damage dealer build for Thieves Guild. Before we get into the gear and skills etc, just want to have a short intro. So guys, you have to make sure, like, you need to understand the idea behind the build. Don't just copy paste it, okay? And there is also other really nice gear combos available. I have now just chosen this certain gear, okay? And also, you also can run two-hander dual wield, two-hander bow if you want. All those kind of things. It's up to you, okay? And I will first show my setup for veteran dungeons, for 4-man dungeons. Then I will show you the CP, my champion points, the skills for veteran dungeons I use. After that I will also talk about the Werewolf, because also here Werewolf is a really important thing, a stamina sword. And at the end I will talk about the trial setup I use, okay? And again, really important, you don't need that specific gear, okay? And you also can run a two-hander if you want. I will explain why I've chosen dual wield and bow and why I've chosen this gear over other things, okay? So, the gear setup. Let's see. I'm using, basically on all my stamina setups, I always use 5 pieces Night Mothers and 4 pieces Hunting's Rage, okay? For veteran dungeons, group content. Because in veteran dungeons we have mostly short fights, and the maelstrom weapons are not good for short fights, okay? Like 4 pieces Hunting's Rage are better. So again, 5 pieces Night Mother's Gaze. I did a lot of tests with Night Mother's Gaze versus Hunting's Rage, and Night Mother's Gaze was slightly better, okay? Like 70 hit points better than Hunting's Rage on a skill. So if you already have Hunting's Rage in on your character here, don't craft Night Mother's Gaze. It's not worth it. The damage difference is so little, so small. I also, like, I'm on the PTS now, and on the live I also have 5 Huntings here and 4 Night Mothers here. I'm not going to craft Night Mother's Gaze only because it does like 1% more damage. It's just a waste of legendary materials. That's the thing, okay? So 5 pieces Night Mother's Gaze, then Hunting's Shoulder, Hunting's Head, and 2 Hunting's Daggers, and the Maelstrom Bow Precise. If you do not have a Maelstrom Bow Precise, like, you can use a Maelstrom Bow defending, it doesn't matter what trait he has because it's only our buff bar. We reapply dots and then we swap back to dual wield. If you do not have a Maelstrom Bow at all, just use some random Wet 16 bow and you're good to go. Now, on the daggers itself, I've chosen a Glyph of Rage, which increases my weapon damage for 5 seconds, and a poison damage glyph. Later about that in the champion trees. Then, you also can use a Molakina here if you want to, okay? If you feel it's better, use it here. Use a Molakina and 3 pieces Hunting's Rage. The reason I use Hunting's Rage is because, as you can see, when I buff myself, I have really high crit, 88%. That's why I choose another crit bonus. But then if you want, use a Molakina Mask, okay? You lose 4% crit, but you gain weapon damage. Like 200, not 200 but almost. Yeah. So it's really those small things, that's what you need to understand. By only swapping something around, you're not going to lose like 50% DPS, okay? Like the difference is so small. That being said, apart from that, I use 3 pieces agility jewelry with robust trait and all weapon damage glyphs on it. If you do not have the money to buy robust agility rings, buy like healthy agility rings, okay? Because now, as you see, I have points into health. For example, on my stamina build I had only 16k health, okay? If you think you don't need the health, put everything into stamina, okay? So you get almost 40k stamina here. But then you have 16k health as a red guard. But it really doesn't matter. Usually with 18k you're more or less safe in veteran dungeons. 16k is a little bit low, but it's doable if you know the mechanics of the bosses, etc. Okay. If you don't have robust agility rings, put all your points into stamina and just get 1 or 2 agility rings with healthy trait, because they are a lot cheaper and not everybody can buy robust agility rings. Just buy healthy agility rings. They're a lot cheaper and the build is still good to go, okay? That's very important that you understand that. If you don't feel comfortable with dual wield, you can use a two-hander here, okay? Wrecking blow as your main single target damage, you can use it, it's no problem. You could use a two-hander here, a dual wield here, or two-hander here and a bow here. It's just I prefer dual wield and bow over two-hander and bow or two-hander and dual wield. That's just my, everything works, okay? It's just I like dual wield more. That being said, about the race. So I am a red guard, okay? Because I like the sustain I get from this passive. Like you restore 1.1k stamina every 3 seconds if you do a melee attack, okay? Let's say if you have no sustain issues, the most optimal race would be Khajiit, okay? Because you get 8% crit from the Khajiit, which is really nice. If I had a Khajiit, I would change the Thief Shadow with the Thief Mundustone with the Shadow Mundustone, okay? And I would not lose that much crit. That's the thing. But I'm a red guard, which is also really nice because you still get 10% max stamina, okay? So for race, Khajiit works, red guard works, orc works. Those 3, Imperial also works. So like those 4 all work really nicely, okay? So you don't need to regrind another one only because you don't have the right race. That's what I'm trying to say. Because it's not necessary. Okay, that's my wet dungeon run setup. If I go, for example, to Maelstrom Arena, I swap to two-hander, okay? I swap to two-hander because it's simply like Wrecking Blow is a nice instant damage. Not instant, but it's like 1 second and it hits really hard, okay? And together with the crit surge ability, you get really nice heals. I have already uploaded runs with my stamina Sorg, so if you want to see it, go check it. It's somewhere on my YouTube channel. I actually could link it in the thread here later, yeah. I will link it later. Okay, let's put those back. Most important is always that you understand the idea behind the build and the mechanics. If you do understand that, you will be really good. If you only copy paste and you do not get what I'm trying to say, then you will not be as good as somebody that understands the mechanics behind the class or like my setup, okay? Okay, now let's hop to the champion points. So there have been a few changes in the champion system. I just want to say what, like Hardy now reduces poison, disease and physical damage, okay? Like this is important in PvP, but this is a PvE build, so I really don't care. Then the most important change is here. Thaumaturge. It used to increase magic damage, but now it increases dot damage, okay? That is why I have chosen dual wield over two-hander, because you will do more damage with dual wield, because we have so many dots. Dot, 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 and dot. This is also dot. Everything is a fucking dot, okay? And you see, increases effectiveness of your damage over time effect. That's new, that's really new. So now let's see, how did I set it up? So again, this is how I run it at the moment, okay? There might be better choices. So maybe put more points into Mighty, maybe put more into Precise Strikes, maybe put more into Thaumaturge if you feel this is not the best setup. So let's see. I have like 60 points into Mighty. This gives me almost 18% increased physical poison and disease damage. Then we have Precise Strikes, which increase the critical damage. And we have Thaumaturge, which increases dot damage. So in Might you also see that's new, like poison and disease damage. That's why I run a poison enchantment here, which also gets increased by the CP, which is nice. If you feel like you want to run like reduced armor, like let me see, I have like this crusher enchantment, then use it, okay? You don't need necessarily poison damage. Just need to understand there is not just one setup. There is a lot of possibilities and the build is still effective. I want to go away from those you have to wear this and use that, otherwise it will not work. I want that people understand there is several options. So 17.5 increased physical damage, 19% increased crit damage, and 13.2 increased dot damage. We have 88% critical damage, sorry, 88% weapon crit, so this is really important, okay? And our dots, of course. So this is the most important setup. Afterwards you really can do whatever you want. I put like 37 here for dodge roll, a break free, cost reduction. Then like 14 to Mooncove. Important here is that you at least put 30 points here because of the synergizer. Grants 2 ultimate anytime you activate the synergy, okay? That's why you need to have 30 points in here. If that's your farm character, put 75 points in there because it reduces gathering time by 50%, okay, just saying. Then I put the rest into Warlord because it reduces my stamina cost of skills. I don't know why it says cost of spells, because it's not true. Then I have like 30 points into quick recovery because I want more healing received, which is nice. And then I have some points into Hardy and Elemental Defender. I put the most points into Elemental Defender because of the reduced flame, frost and shock damage, and most enemies in dungeons have flame damage. If there is a dungeon that has a lot of physical damage, put more points into Hardy if you want to change it. I just found it like this, it's a nice setup. It's a nice setup. So that was already it from the champion system. Now let's talk about skills. So let's see. Again, I have my dual wield and bow equipped, so let's see what skills I use. I use rending slashes. This is one of my dots, okay? I mainly use this in boss fights because the dot is really strong. If you want, you also can use quick cloak here, for example, for trash fights, because it gives you a nice movement speed, okay? As you can see, like 5-second speed buff. And it also reduces enemy AoE damage by 20%, okay? So you can stand in more red things than without it, kinda. Although you shouldn't, but we know what happens. Everybody stands in red shit because don't know. Then we have Steel Tornado as our main AoE skill. So this skill got a small nerf, okay? It used to be 12.5 meters, now it's only 9 meters, the radius. It is still very effective though, okay? Don't get me wrong. Still one of the most OP AoE skills, because you see, like, it is an execute plus up to 100% additional damage against wounded targets based on their remaining health. Plus we know we have the passive here, increases damage with dual wield abilities by 20% against enemies with under 25% health. So there is basically two execute mechanics in this skill, okay? One from the skill, one from the passive, which makes it really strong. You can crit for up to 16k if you're lucky, or even more. Then we have rapid strikes. This is our single target skill. So before Imperial City it was kind of bad, but they somehow buffed it, and now you get like 6 to 8k DPS only from rapid strikes, okay, which is really nice. It is a little bit hard to get used to it, especially with light attack weaving, because the animation is kind of clunky, but if you practice it enough, you will know how to. I also have a tutorial up to how to light and heavy attack weave with rapid strikes. I will put it in the description of the video, okay? And again, this skill, last time I checked, it works with Thaumaturge from the CP. That's why I always prefer dual wield now, okay? Because Wrecking Blow doesn't benefit from Thaumaturge. If I split my things, I get more overall damage than only put everything into Mighty and not Thaumaturge. That's the thing. Then for PvE we have Thundering Presence. For PvP I would use the other morph, okay, because it's magic, it costs magicka and the speed buff lasts longer, but we are talking PvE here. So we have Thundering Presence. It lasts for 15 seconds, and you see, it gives us Major Resolve and Major Ward at the same time, increasing our spell and armor resistance by 5.3k, which is really nice for like wet dungeons, for example. So let's see, now I have like 11 and 12. I activate this one, 16, 5, 17, 5. So you can take more hits into the face. Although you shouldn't, because you're not a tank, but we all know it happens. Then it also deals nice AoE damage, and single target wise it's also not bad, okay? It's not super strong, but it's also not super bad. So I use it for both AoE and single target. And you see, the first 4 seconds it deals an additional 200% bonus damage. And afterward it ticks like for, let's say, 1.1k crits. That's what I get in average. But the first like 3-4 ticks are like 2 to 3k damage, which is nice. And you also gain the speed buff. That's why you not necessarily need Quick Cloak, okay? I mean, Quick Cloak has a damage component here. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's also not bad because you get the AoE damage reduction. That's why I use Quick Cloak on most of my stamina builds. But if you want, you can slot rending slashes here. If you want to save potions, you can put flying blade here, because we know you get the major brutality buff from it. But I always use my crit potions, okay? Because they give me weapon crit, they give me damage buff and stamina at the same time. So I don't need flying blade to give me major brutality. But if you don't want to use any potions or like only stamina potions, then put flying blade there. Totally fine, it works. That's the thing. Then we have bound armaments. So this is stamina morph from the storm calling tree. No, wait. Here from the Daedric summoning. It increases my overall stamina by 8%, okay? My heavy attacks do more damage. So it's not bad if you heavy attack with rapid strikes, okay? Light attack weaving will result in more DPS, but heavy attacks are also not bad. Now I just want to show you how much stamina I could get if I put all my points into stamina. Just to show what happens. This is the PTS, so I can easily use all those things. So you see now, I have really low health, okay? But I'm almost at 40k stamina, which is really nice. And you will see when we go werewolf mode, we will have a lot of stamina, okay? So let's continue. On my bow bar I have arrow barrage. This dot deals insane damage, okay? Single target wise, if you have the maelstrom bow, it does like 4 to 5k DPS alone, only from that ability. It's so strong, okay? And if you have the maelstrom bow, you see every tick you do more damage. That's why it's so strong. Every 0.5 seconds deals more and more damage, more and more damage. Then we have cult drops. If nobody in the group already uses it, then use it. It's it does a really nice damage on single target and AoE, because it takes for like 1 to 2k a second. Costs a lot of stamina though, okay? That's the thing. But if it was maxed out, leveled up, it would hold 30 seconds. And the damage is nice, and it's physical damage, you see. It's kind of a dot, so it gets affected by Thaumaturge. Then, poison injection is our like executability, so only start using this skill from 50% to 0. Don't use it from 100% to 50% on a single target fight. Use it from 50% boss health, because then the damage is really nice. And we all know it's poison damage, it's a dot damage. So let's see. It gets increased from Mighty, and it gets increased from Thaumaturge. And Precise Strikes also buffs it. So like it didn't used to get increased from Mighty because poison damage was not here. And Thaumaturge now increases dot damage, okay? So we have like 30% more damage only from those two CP thingies for poison injection. That's why it's so strong after 50%. And the lower the enemy's health get, the stronger it gets. Like it ticks for crazy from 10% to 0. The ticks you get there, it's unbelievable. Then critical surge. You can slot this, but you don't necessarily need to, okay? But because we have so much crit, okay? Like on my dual wield bar, if you use potion, 88. And you see, while active, critical strikes heal you for 60% of the damage done. Damage over time will not proc this ability. I'm not sure how much like it... So if you spam Steel Tornado in a trash fight, It heals you for so much, okay? You will have no issue staying alive. I said before, like I use two-hander for Maelstrom Arena because dots don't proc it, okay? The heal, but in Maelstrom Wrecking Blow procs it and you get huge heals. If my Wrecking Blow does 20k damage, it heals me for like, I don't know, 15k or like 12k or something like that because it deals so much damage. And in werewolf form, like before I transform into werewolf, I activate this and then I go werewolf, okay? And as long as this is active, I get heals. I get heals from Hole of Despair or Hole of Agony. That's what many people also don't know. Then again, bound armaments, because it has to be slotted on both sides, otherwise you always have to reactivate it, kinda. Now you also think, why don't you see the armor? That's because I use, if you have Mind Driven on, you see, now you see the armor, just looks, yeah, it can look nice if you prefer it, but you can activate Mind Driven and then the armor gets hidden. That's nice, I like that, so I can finally see my armor, okay? Finally. Then again, doesn't need to be here. You also can use Rearming Trap for minor force to get more critical damage if you want to. If you know you always use potions and you know your healer heals enough so you're not gonna die, then yeah, just keep Rearming Trap here. That's the possibilities you have. You don't need, I'm not saying like you need those skills and you need those skills. If you don't have those, then you will fail. It's not true. There is options. Then ultimate, Flawless Dawnbreaker on the first bar, because you see while slotted your weapon damage is increased by 8%. So it is really nice. It gives me 8% more weapon damage. It also deals a nice damage against undead, okay? Then we have Ice Comet here. It is the best ultimate for Sorc, AoE and single target, okay? At least that's what I think. You also can use Shooting Star if you want, because you get ulti back faster. If you really want, if you really like your Atro, you can use your Atro, it doesn't matter, okay? You will do a little bit less damage, but Atro single target damage is also not bad. Then, before I forget it, you also can slot Evil Hunter here if you fight undead mobs, okay? Because then, like, Evil Hunter deals nice damage. 7, almost 8k, probably 8k when I'm on the right bar. Yeah, 9k. So when there is undead mobs, you can do this, and voila, it's online, okay? You don't need it to have on both bars. That's the thing. However, I usually prefer it on the first bar. I will get to that in a second, because there is some mechanic that is kind of buggy with Evil Hunter and potions, sadly. But maybe it will get fixed at some point. But yet it's still buggy, okay. Anyway. Okay, now I will explain the thing with Evil Hunter, and then I will show you the werewolf power stamina classes have, okay. So, the thing is, with Evil Hunter overrides the potion crit buff, okay. So, what happens? Let me do it like this. If I have it on both bars, okay, I get the crit. You see, like I have the crit here, I have the crit here. If I remove the crit here, I of course have less crit. If I remove it here, I also have less crit. That's why what I have my potions for, because they give me the crit buff. Penance of weapon power. Now, the thing. If you, for example, have the Evil Hunter here, okay, and you activate it, you swap to the second bar, it's gone, okay? You swap back, it's here again. It's gone. Because if I had slotted Evil Hunter here, I would be a lot higher, I would be at 88, not 78. Now what happens? I said before you can slot it here to help damage like undead mobs, but actually I would put it on the first bar and I would put the Foundering Presence on the second bar. Okay, now we see 70%, okay? When I use the potion, I should almost get 80%. Now, thing is, the program checks, like I use my potion, okay? I have the crit buff because Evil Hunter is also here. Now what the program makes, it checks this skill, this potion, it sees Severity buff from potion. Then it checks Evil Hunter, oh, Severity buff from Evil Hunter. And now, what it does, the program does forget that the potion, although it's still running, you lose the major severity buff. So now I swap to the second bar. I should have the buff because my potion is active. But I do not, you see? Because it forgets that the potion gives me the crit buff and it only keeps checking Evil Hunter. But here I don't have any Evil Hunter, so my crit is gone. Now let me show you. Now it's 70%. I activate it. 80%. I swap back to my Evil Hunter bar, 88. I swap back to the bow bar, 70%. It should be 80, you know? It already forgot it because the Evil Hunter killed my potion buff. That's why you have to be really careful with Evil Hunter. I hope it gets fixed at some point, but it has been here for a year, so just saying, okay? Then, when you transform into Werewolf, if you activate the potion before you transform to Werewolf, you will lose the crit buff. Or wait, let me rephrase that. If you have Evil Hunter on your Werewolf bar and you activate the potion before you transform, you will lose the crit, because what the program does is it sees now, it already forgot that I have the potion crit buff because Evil Hunter is here. And when you transform into Werewolf, Evil Hunter gets away from your bar, so it thinks your crit buff is gone, okay? So if you activate the potion before you transform into Werewolf, make sure that fucking skill is not on your bar, to be safe, okay? Now let's check the Werewolf skills. You basically only need two, okay? Here's Sin's Rage. See, increases your weapon damage by 10% for 20 seconds. 10% is a lot. Then we have Hole of Despair. You also can use Hole of Agony, but this one has a nice synergy, you see. Increases light and heavy attack damage by 10% for 15 seconds. But everybody has to activate the synergy by themselves, okay? Not it in a 4-man group, not only one can use the synergy and everybody will get the buff. It doesn't work like that. Everybody needs to activate the synergy on their own. All we do, Werewolf, is keep up Hircin's Rage, then spam Hole of Despair or Agony and Light Attack Weave, okay? Werewolf is only really effective in short burst fights, okay? Basically, that means in all veteran dungeons. That's why I use dual wield. With dual wield I have more base weapon damage because I have two weapons, okay? And you see I have precise here. Those 7% crit, I keep those and I only lose the 10% crit from Twin Blade and Blunt passive. You see each dagger increases your weapon crit rating by like 1000 and that's 5%. So you lose 10% crit in Werewolf. That's bad, but whatever. Basically, let's compare Wrecking Blow, 14k damage. It has a second cast time, okay? Hole of Agony, if it was level 4, it would also be like 14.5k. But this is instant, so basically a werewolf has instant Wrecking Blow ability. That's why it's so strong. And on top of that, you see, we choose Berserker form. It has a 30-second duration. We don't need more, because after 30 seconds we will be out of stamina anyway. We can't pick up synergies. That's the thing, sadly. Now let's see. You get the armor buff, but doesn't matter, don't care. Let's see, your light attacks add a bleeding effect, dealing almost 12k physical damage over 8 seconds, plus an additional 40%. So the Berserker morph gives us 40% increased bleed damage. The other morph would give us like increased time in Werewolf if we would do heavy attack weaves. But we don't need additional time because we only use Werewolf in short fights, okay? And all veteran dungeons, the bosses really do not last long, okay? They die so fast. Once I go into a dungeon, or maybe just watch me on Twitch, or like I will also upload videos for all the classes when I do a dungeon from time to time, just to see just to show you how I play. Now let's see. I will activate potion, you see my stats, okay? 3375. Now I transform. Hole of Agony. Almost 4k, I lost 10% crit. And you see 47k stamina, so you gain a lot of stamina in Werewolf. And a lot of weapon damage. Now my Hole of Agony is 17k on level 1. It would almost do 18 to 19k. If it was maxed out. You need to realize. The skills cost a lot, 2.4k stamina cost. That's why after 30 seconds you are through those 40 to 50k stamina, okay? Stamina just disappears in werewolf form, that's how it is. That's how it is. Let's take a look at the passives here. So basically if you get damaged, you have more time in werewolf form. So every 3 seconds you can gain 3 seconds werewolf time, but doesn't matter, and the boss is dead anyway. That doesn't matter. Now this is the most important, Savage Strength. Increases your weapon damage by 18%, that's why I have more weapon damage in werewolf. Plus this one is another 10%, so it's 28% more weapon damage in werewolf. I have tried to reach 7k werewolf and I got him to 7.2k weapon damage in werewolf form on my stamina templar though. Only for a short time because I used alchemist set, Molakina, spell power cure. Maybe I can show you the picture. But yeah, you see, even like 4k damage, because here I only have 3375, okay, so it almost buffs me up to 4k in werewolf, and I gain 7k extra stamina. So it's really, werewolf is super strong. I will put the link into the description just to show you, like in Veteran Dragonstone Arena, we have 1 healer and 3 werewolves to burn down the last boss, okay? So you can see the power of werewolf. Okay, now let's move on to the trial settings. Trial setup for like AA, Hell Ra, Sanctum and Maw of Lorkai. Now you might think, oh finally Maelstrom weapons, but nope. So for trials, what changed is the gear. Basically I replaced Night Mother's Gaze or Hunting's Rage, whatever you're wearing, with Twiceborn Star, okay? If you only have Twiceborn Star, you also can use Twiceborn Star, it doesn't matter, I mean. Yeah, anyway, let me try to explain. So A trial environment is a lot different from a like veteran dungeon environment. So you have more people, you know, it's 12-man dungeons or 12-man trials, and you're not going to win the battle alone, okay? So you need to work together with your group, otherwise it's not gonna happen. That's the thing what many people do not understand. If your group synergizes well, they are here to learn, you will succeed. If they fucking shout at each other only because somebody dies or somebody fails, you're not gonna get far, believe me. Now, I changed to Twiceborn Star for two reasons. As you see, like it gives me health, stamina, magicka, and I have now Thief and Shadow. So I lose a little bit weapon crit, okay, but I gain a lot of critical strike damage, so my crits do more damage. And the reason why I use this is because the aggressive Warhorn, as you see, it gives us the major force, increasing our critical strike damage by 30%. And because we always use divines, okay, 7 pieces divines and medium armor, possible. And the divines buff our shadow like up to 16 or 18%. On top of the aggro warhorn is another 30%, and if we activate rearming trap it's another 12%. That's a lot of increased critical damage. That's why we want to have Heath and Shadow. Even our most of our magicka users run this, okay? So that's the first reason. Then the second reason, with Night Mother's Gaze or Hunting's Rage I have only 16k health. Now I have 17.3k and 41k stamina. It's a lot, okay? So if you still feel I don't like it, it's still not enough health, you always can swap it out with something else, with I don't have any here, like a monster helmet that gives a health bonus. You can replace the shoulder or the head with a monster helm, so you get another health bonus, and you only lose one crit bonus, so like 3 to 4% crit. Or you just can adjust it in here a little bit, or put a health enchantment on the shoulders, for example. So that's basically the thing. 5 pieces twice per star, 3 agility, and now for AA and Hellra I do not use Maelstrom daggers, because in short fights like 2 Hunting's Rage daggers and 2 Hunting's Rage pieces here are better than Maelstrom weapons. Maelstrom weapons are really, like the daggers are really only good in longer fights, so Sanctum and Maw of Lorkai. So this is for AA and Hellra, okay? Setup wise, not much changed. I still have basically the same skills, okay? Steel Tornado for AoE, Arrow Barrage's AoE dot, Caltrops's AoE dot. Then my main damage ability is Rapid Strikes. I want to keep up Thundering Presence. I want to keep up Rending Slashes. But don't reapply dots if the mob is gonna die in 3 seconds, okay? Dots are only effective if they last the full duration. Otherwise they're not effective. Then I have Poison Injection and I have Rearming Trap again. Ice Comet or Shooting Star, whatever you prefer, or even Storm Outro if you want. Maybe you are the lucky dude that has to run aggressive Warhorn, who knows? You should always have like 3 to 4 aggressive Warhorns in your group to maximize DPS. But most of the times like the healers and the tanks use this, the aggressive Warhorn, just to be clear. So now that's basically the setup for trials. Now let me swap over to Maelstrom daggers. So now we have 2 Maelstrom daggers here, and now what you can do is You could wear like a full monster set here, or you just could keep the Hunting's Rage, the extra crit, or you could put the Molakena there if you want one piece, and another monster helmet that gives health if you want more health, okay? You also can run 2 Molakena if you want to. It's really up to you. It's up to you to decide. But for me, usually I don't like double Molakena. Well, actually it depends. No, like when I enter a fight, sometimes I just do 2 light attacks swap and then Molakena will proc. Okay, that's the thingy. In the next patch you will not be able to weave it between skills, but you can do 2 light attacks to proc it. But usually I only run one piece and the monster helmet like a Valkyrie shoulder that gives me health. So Molakena helmet, Valkyrie shoulder gives health bonus, weapon damage. But if you don't have any of those, you also just can keep like the 2%, not the like the 2 pieces from Hunting's Rage to get the crit bonus. Another thing is, like those sets are all easy available, okay, like you can craft them, so you don't need to farm the shit out of something. The only shit you need to farm is Maelstrom daggers, sadly. So now this setup, let me put this one here. No, whatever. Where did it go? So now, buy Maelstrom daggers. So, oh, give me a sec. I don't want 2, I only want 1. Maelstrom daggers, as you see, the single target dots are buffed by 3.1k weapon damage. So basically, rending slashes gets buffed and poison injection gets buffed. Those are the 2 skills, not more. This doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, okay? It's really important to know that. You cannot buff rapid strikes with the Maelstrom daggers, those doesn't work. So the only 2 are rending slashes and poison injection. But anyway, it's still, the buff you get to those 2 skills is insane. And now I will explain to you how those Maelstrom weapons work. You basically need to use rapid strikes and then you can apply rending slashes. You can use rapid strikes, apply poison injection. Okay, it works like that. You cannot do rapid strikes, rending slashes, poison injection. Then this one will not get buffed because you used your buff here. And another trick, if you reapply the dot before it runs out, you don't need to rebuff it with rapid strikes. But as our main damage ability is rapid strikes, it doesn't really matter anyway. Just always make sure you use rapid strikes, then rending slashes, rapid strikes, poison injection. I only use poison injection at 50% and lower of boss's health. Okay. Also arrow barrage, you have to make sure to keep that buff up all the time. For example on Manticora, only this skill gives me 4 to 5k DPS. It's crazy damage, it's so much. If you want, it's a single target fight. So I don't need Steel Tornado. You can swap it out. You could put rearming trap here if you want, so you don't have to swap over to reapply it here. That's the thing. Always keep the dots up, that's very important. All the dots need to be up. It's a lot of dots, but stamina builds are dot builds. The more dots, the more DPS. That's how it works. You also could, just speaking of dots, you could run Valkyrie here, but at the moment Valkyrie is bugged and I don't think it will get fixed with Thieves skill. That's why I don't even try running Valkyrie. Maybe it would be nice, who knows? Okay. Did I forget something? Let me just check. I don't think so. Just again, very important, like you're not going to win the battle alone. You need to synergize well with your group members. You need to coordinate and all that stuff. They ask you to run aggressive Warhorn, then run it, okay? It will benefit the whole group. Yes, you will have a little bit less DPS, but the others will get more DPS. That's how it works, and that's what many do not understand. That's the thing. Okay, that was it for the STEM Zork. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section below. I will also have a Tamriel Foundry thread created there, just so we can Furycraft, or maybe there is some better options, etc. Oh, and one other thing, I forgot to talk about the axe, right? So I use one axe because the bleeding over longer fights is really strong, okay? Like the highest bleeding tick I had was like 18k from one bleeding tick. So you will get like 1.5 to 2k DPS only from axe bleeding, which is really, it's crazy. As you can see here, let me show you. Not resto. See, 8% chance to bleed enemies for 12k physical damage. And in a trial environment, aggressive warhorn, spell power cure, powerful assault, and all those things buff the damage so much. You can get 18k bleeding crits. That's why I use an axe and not 2 daggers, yeah. So again, on Tamriel Foundry I will create a thread, I will post all my builds there, with like gear setups, skill setups, and a link to the YouTube videos. So if you have any questions or suggestions how to improve the builds, you can also ask me there if you want to. The link will be in the description. Thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See you soon. Cheers.